What's going on, guys? Figured I'd fire up the camera real quick, show you what I'm working on today. Thought maybe some of you might get a kick out of this, or at least have a little bit of interest. If anything, it's kind of a funny story, I think. But for those of you who don't know, I work maintenance at an industrial laundry. I'll go ahead and turn the camera around. I'm sure I got dirt, snot, and everything else all over my face, but at this point, I kind of don't care. But I'm a maintenance technician at an industrial laundry, or it's actually a uniform company, but the plant that I work at, they wash and dry the clothes, do a number of other things, do the service routes, everything else. But my main job there is to fix equipment, keep it running, repair it when it breaks. And occasionally we'll have to work a Saturday. It's normally a Monday through Friday operation. For the main operators and plant personnel, things like that. Kind of a 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday operation. And occasionally we'll have to work on a Saturday to get to machines that are normally running, if we got to do some maintenance on them or some big change outs, repairs, things like that. It's really hard not only to take the machine down because they are pretty full operation and it's usually a very fast turnaround, so we don't really get an opportunity to take what few machines down that we do have running to work on them during the week unless it's something really bad. So if we can, we'll hold off to the weekend, when nobody's running or depending on anything. And everybody's out of the way, we can kind of get in, get out, do what we got to do. So one of our large dryers, it's a 600-pound challenge dryer, which I don't think the company even is around anymore. But 600 pounds being the load that's expected to run through it each cycle, whether it's shop towels, linens, garments, coveralls, uniforms, mill clothes, you name it. Just about everything goes through them. But we've got two 600-pounders. One of them was making some noise. The drum was starting to get out of square. And actually, I'll probably show you a little bit here. If you imagine like your regular household dryer, it's pretty much the same thing, only like, I don't know, 10, 20 times bigger. They're pretty huge machines. But they're pretty similar as far as the setup, how they run, how they operate, how they cycle. And obviously in each dryer you've got a rotating basket or a drum. These machines have front and back doors. They tilt back, loading and unloading, putting clothes in and out. And the way these are set up, and even similar to how your home dryer is set up, is they sit on kind of a drive wheel. In this case, there's two drive shafts with 4 wheels all together, so a wheel on each corner. These would be your drive shafts. And then there's 2 pillow block bearings to hold each shaft, one on each end, obviously. And then past those bearings are the big rubber drive wheels, kind of like a grinder contact wheel for knife makers or belt grinders. But they run on that and just rotate. They're driven by a large motor on one of the shafts. And then you have some idler wheels on the front face of the machine, that kind of push against that face to keep that basket from rotating one way or the other as it's rotating, axially. So one of our machines, it was kind of rotating out of square. It was starting to tilt a little bit, rub a little bit, and squeal and squawk and make a little bit of noise. So what we had thought the problem would be, just a real simple fix: take the front door off, which is no small task, actually the front whole side of the machine, and replace one of those idler wheels that push the drum or the basket square. Unfortunately, when we took that off, we did see the worn drive wheel or idler wheels as expected, but also somewhere on one of the drive wheels and one of the bearings had some slop in it. And when we investigated further, I'm going to show you the old drive shaft we pulled out on the right side of the machine. Should be a solid shaft all the way across. This is where the pillow block goes. You can see, obviously that's been wearing down for quite some time. It's probably a miracle the machine was even running, or that the basket was turning at all. Definitely didn't expect that. It's kind of a shock. Unfortunately, we had everything but the drive shaft. You know, we have replacement bearings, drive wheels, idler wheels. You know, we had everything we thought we would need. Did not have a shaft. And as I said, this is a Saturday, so most supply houses, steel supplies, industrial supplies are normally closed. Nearest one I could find was McMaster Car. We did a lot of business with them, you know, each day, each week, ordering most of our parts and tools from them. I noticed they happened to be open at the will call desk till about 2. Unfortunately, at the time I noticed this, it's about 1 p.m., so I had an hour to get from Hammond, Indiana to Elmhurst, Illinois, which is about an hour away normally. And you know, get the parts ordered, shoot up there in the car, get the parts, bring them back home, and now I'm kind of fabric cobbling a new shaft for this dryer, which fortunately is actually a pretty simple shaft. There's no shoulders, no steps, anything like that. It's really just a solid shaft at about 68 inches long, and it's just got some 1/2-inch keyways milled in each end. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. I've already cut it to a rough length, which really doesn't even have to be super precise or square or anything. And it was just about all this bandsaw could handle. I've actually got the old one in there just to cut off the end with this collar, because the old bearing is kind of fused on the shaft there, and it was easier just to cut this off and get my retaining collar off, rather than drive it all the way down the shaft off the other end, or you know, cut this inner race off. So what I'm going to do now, just duplicate this keyway on each end, and that'll be the shaft. Tomorrow we'll, you know, slide these on. May have to take some emery paper, take 1/1000 of 2 off of this, or heat this up. It's a pretty snug fit, but you know, you kind of want it to be, I guess. But, you know, fortunately, this was a pretty standard size. Like I said, nothing's turned down. There's no shoulders, no tapers, no steps, anything like that. And something that's pretty easily duplicated. Now, what this would cost, you know, for a machine shop to make, I really have no idea, especially a rush job on a weekend. I'm sure I saved the company probably a couple $1,000 going up and getting this myself. You know, we have an account with McMaster. The material alone was like $200. So, you know, basically they're getting a new shaft for, you know, $200 plus my labor. That's probably a pretty good deal for them. And, you know, there were some tolls and things involved, but you guys don't want to hear about all that. I just thought it was kind of funny, you know, sometimes you go into things, you know, expecting a pretty simple job. That's rarely the case, it seems, anymore. And, you know, sometimes you're throwing some pretty big curveballs, but, you know, if you kind of get your head straight for a second, you know, think about what has to be done and look for solutions. You know, sometimes you get lucky and you're able to make things happen. So fortunately, good Lord willing, and if everything goes smooth from here on out, we'll be able to get that machine back up and running tomorrow on Sunday and ready for production on Monday, you know, with no lost time or further incident from the machine. Hopefully. We'll kind of see how that goes, but what I thought was really kind of funny is this is really just about the most that this mill can handle, I think. You can see that's sticking out quite a bit. That's 68 inches on a full-size knee mill hanging out there. 1 1/15 diameter. Like I said, it was really all this saw could handle, just to cut the end off, you know, without wanting to tilt over. I don't know what that weighs. It's probably 80 or almost 100 pounds. Solid steel there. This is W1. Should make a pretty nice shaft, machined pretty nicely, and shouldn't be too big of a deal. So, thought you guys might get a kick out of that. Hopefully, I didn't bore you to death, or you know, explained everything well enough for you. But I think I'm going to get back to work. I've taken enough of a break here, and appreciate you guys watching. And maybe I'll post a couple finished product pics on Instagram. So keep a lookout for that. Stay tuned. I do have several things in the works. I got some knives I'm working on. I'll be posting probably some more videos here within the week, hopefully, if not next week. So look for those. And again, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you.